All right, hello everyone on YouTube. This is Garvin from FTW. Please take a moment and click the button below this video. It's the like button. Let us know that you like it. Leaving a like lets us know that you enjoyed this show and you want to see more. Also hit the subscribe link as we release new content all week. And it's not just from the voices you hear on the podcast, but other members of the FTW community just like you. For more information on how to get involved in the future, you can head on over to FTWpodcast.com and reach out. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Fans Talk Wrestling Podcast. FTW is a weekly WWE and TNA discussion where fans talk the wrestling world and all of its laughable glory. This is episode 238, recorded live on October 28th, 2014 on FTWLive.com. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Hell in the Cell, the aftermath that we saw on Raw, specifically Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose. And we're also going to be talking about the tag team tournament in TNA and who should end 2014 as champion in TNA. With us tonight is Joe. Say hello, Joe. Joe, it would be very helpful if you weren't muted.
I know, wouldn't it? But now that everything's back to normal, I have to be muted at some point and try and talk.
And we also got Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Black Panther needs a movie so much more than Ant-Man.
And we also got everyone in the live chat talking about upcoming Marvel movies and everything coming out. Very fun conversation. Again, you can join that live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on FTWLive.com. My name is Garvin. If you're listening live, you can say hi and leave your thoughts in the comments here on FTWLive.com. If you're on Twitter, use the hashtag FTWLive. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like. Now, before we begin the general conversation, the normal conversations you guys hear every week, we're going to jump into the mailbag. That's something we did last week, and I think it worked out pretty well. But to submit content for the mailbag, all you have to do is leave a comment on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you see our show or our videos or our whatever posted. Just leave your comments. You can also email questions at ftwpodcast.com. So let's dive in first. Michael Kupak posted that PWI released their top 500 wrestlers in the world. The entire top 10 looks like this. We've got Bully Ray at number 10, Adam Cole number 9, number 8 is Magnus, 7 Roman Reigns, 6 Bray Wyatt, 5 Okada, 4 AJ Styles, 3 John Cena, 2 Randy Orton, and number 1 is Daniel Bryan. You guys have any objections with this list?
I don't know what Roman Reigns is doing there.
I don't get Cena being number 3. Oh, but okay. For some reason, I wasn't fully absorbing and thought this was like PWI released their list, and this was Kupak's top 10.
No. This is PWI's official list. No one knows for sure what the full credentials are, like what things you have to do, except for you either have to be an active wrestler for 7 months or I think it's like 20, 25 matches or something like that. So obviously that's why Brock Lesnar's not in here, but yeah.
Man, he got skimped out at 24. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean this. I don't know if I would place Magnus as number 8. I'm not saying he's not a good worker. I'm just saying that I don't see him in the top 10.
Well, I have seen some of the factors that do go into picking a list, or at least some of the factors believed to. It's not just wrestling ability; it's also impact on the industry and a bunch of other different factors. And Magnus did become the first British World Heavyweight Champion in over a century. So I think that, if nothing else, merits a place in this list. And I don't think he's really doing Adam Cole or Bully Ray a disservice by being ranked higher than them. Bully Ray has been great, But overall, what has he really done besides looking good in a singles role?
Bully Ray, I think, has done some stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's kayfabe based, and I think that's what Lou in the live chat is saying. But it's from July 2013 to July 2014. I'm not sure why, if that's accurate. I'm not sure why we're getting a list now, but still, Magnus for sure should be there for everything you said, Nick. He also held the title for I think 128 days, so a good portion of the year. But yeah, Joe, I'm with you. It is disappointing to see John Cena up there. It's kind of odd to see Randy Orton above him, but I'm totally fine with Daniel Bryan coming in at number 1.
See, I think Orton beats him on better matches. And, I've said it a billion times, I'm not an Orton fan. That being said, I still find his matches more entertaining than Cena's, especially if you're looking at the last year.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and he did have some pretty good matches with Daniel Bryan.
All right, so we're going to post the full list, or at least a link to it, in the show notes. You can also grab it on the Facebook group. Again, Michael Kupak posted that. Also, Jason Wegner wrote in. He said, you guys really didn't touch on the whole RKO video craze this week, and Orton hitting Heyman with it last week. Yeah, I don't know what else we can what we can really say with it. It was entertaining the first time.
Out of nowhere!
Yeah. It was entertaining for me the first time, seeing it over and over again and basically applied to every single YouTube video that I've ever seen before. I really heard it. And then that led to, the Stone Cold videos and the Shawn Michaels videos. And, yeah, I don't know. It ran its course very quickly for me.
Yeah.
Probably ended prematurely when the WWE decided to step in.
Yeah, there's that.
Why they didn't try and get everyone to post them to tout, I have no idea.
I think they recognize a lost cause when they see it.
For sure.
If they did, they wouldn't would have gotten on in the Randy Orton videos.
All right, let's move on to WWE Hell in a Cell. We went in to it with pretty low expectations. We know all of you guys did as well. I don't think there was a single person who was totally happy with what WWE has been doing as of late. But overall, before we get into the card, just a general thought. What was your guys' opinion, your overall opinion of Hell in a Cell? Was it a good pay-per-view? Was it worth watching?
I watched it without sound because I was also trying to do some stuff around the house and hang out with my wife since we hadn't had a lot of time to hang out lately. So while we watched another program, I also watched the pay-per-view on the iPad and with no sound. And I think that actually made this pay-per-view more enjoyable. That being said, because I had to focus more on everything that was going on, like I actually watched more of the match than kind of tuned out and just listened to the commentary and waited for the big spots. So I actually found it to be more entertaining without the sound, but it was a solid pay-per-view. I don't think there was a terrible match on the card. I mean, going in with we had, Big Show versus Rusev. We had the Bellas. There was potential for major disaster. Anytime Big Show's in the ring, there's potential, and then fucking Bellas. And I think both matches were solid.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It was definitely better than I think any of us expected it to be. Admittedly, I did watch a somewhat abridged version, meaning I didn't watch the Orton Cena match or the Rusev Big Show match. I also missed the pre-show with Miz.TV and Henry versus Dallas. Sounds like I didn't really miss a whole lot. But what I did see, it was excellent wrestling overall. So, yeah, I can't say I was disappointed with what I saw.
Yeah, I think overall, we posted what would you rate this pay-per-view out of 5 on the Facebook group and on Google Plus, and we got pretty much middle of the road. I think the highest votes were three out of five. As far as the majority of votes, we're going to just a middle of the road pay-per-view. Live chat, it's ranging from it was okay, it was meh, it was good. So yeah, I think that was the general consensus overall. Is that a lot of middle of the road stuff.
And that I don't get it. I think it's one of the better pay-per-views they've done this year.
Yeah, again, like we went in with really low expectations, but it definitely beat any of those expectations. At least for me, I didn't. On paper, I think we left last week's conversation with on paper. This does look like to be a good pay-per-view, and I think overall it met that. It was a good pay-per-view as far as match quality goes. It's just the story, the story going in and the story coming out. At best, was okay.
Well, I think the Cena thing hurt. But they did something that I didn't expect them to do, which was to put Rollins and Ambrose on last.
Ooh.
That says wonderful things about the crop of guys we've got coming up, that they can main event a pay-per-view. And it's not like, capital punishment or something like that. I mean, this is actually, while most people regard this as a filler pay-per-view, it's still a bigger pay-per-view.
Yeah, it is one of the more established ones.
So it's not hard to see that these younger guys are being able to take the ball and run with it, despite the way they finished it. I mean, that's just how it had to go. But I mean, they had a solid match. They worked a fantastic match, and they deserved the spot they had.
All right, well, let's go into the card real quick. We'll just run down results. Obviously, the kickoff was Mizdow TV, so Damien Mizdow interviewed The Miz on what was basically Miz TV. So, and I think overall it was what we can expect from from Miz TV, which is really bad. Also, we had Mark Henry versus Bo Dallas in a squash match. Dolph defeated Cesaro in 2 falls, which is really surprising. We also had Nikki Bella going over Brie. Gold and Stardust retaining. John Cena defeating Randy Orton to earn a title shot. Sheamus defeating Miz to retain the U.S. Championship. Rusev going over Big Show. AJ Lee retaining the Divas Championship. And Seth Rollins defeating Dean Ambrose after the interference by Bray Wyatt. So overall, that's your results. Match of the card for you guys.
Go ahead, Nick, because
yeah, it's a really close tie between Dolph versus Cesaro and Rollins versus Ambrose.
Yeah, you beat me to that one.
Yeah, it can't be stressed enough that Dolph and Cesaro are excellent in the ring together. They seem to work really well together, and on more levels than I thought they would. I always forget about Dolph's history as an amateur wrestler, and he really showed that off in this match against Cesaro. I definitely wasn't expecting the 2 falls. When you just look at the results, you kind of think, man, I wish I could have given Cesaro something, but Cesaro looked really strong in this match. At the start of the 2nd fall, he came roaring in with a jumping uppercut, and he basically dominated a lot of the match. So I think that went as well as it could have. As far as a main event goes, I think it was worth every bit the hype that the WWE put behind it. I mean, bringing Mick Foley out to hype up this match was a huge move, and those 2 lived up to it. As far as Wyatt's interference, I'm not upset about that. I kind of wish that if you're gonna send Ambrose off in a different direction, I kind of wish you would have gotten that closure against Rollins, but just the prospect of Ambrose and Wyatt facing off, it more than makes up for that. I am so stoked to see that.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be a great program because they both are tremendous on the mic. Ziggler and Cesaro I mean, I understand the shock everyone has with there's only 2 falls out of the, because you always see, 3 falls. I like the fact they didn't do that. It made it stand out. It gave Dolph a little more oomph. But Cesaro, like you said, Nick, looked strong. That was a phenomenal match. Very entertaining. And they did it without having to have the crazy spot fest, which is what the Hell in the Cell main event was. So I'm going to give my nod to Cesaro Ziggler for match of the night.
Okay.
Not to take anything away from the main event, it was a fantastic match, but I think they did more with less, and that gives it a few more points.
Yeah, it was definitely a very, very cool match. Overall, for me, it was Rollins versus Ambrose, and I know that's what a lot of people in the live chat are saying. A lot of people on our social media feeds were saying, but at the end of the day, there is a huge conflict. It's odd. Like, it seems like everyone that we talk to and everyone that has chimed in is telling us that they're hyped. They're hyped about Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. But like you said, Nick, there's this need for closure. People were like, they shouldn't have wasted the end of the match for that. And I think it was Michael Kupak in the Facebook group. He said, the part that he didn't like was that after 5 months of chasing Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose never got any real win over him, and this hot feud doesn't end with one guy destroying the other. It ends with Bray Wyatt doing a run-in. Plus, on top of everything else, it was another pay-per-view that ended in a screwy finish, and that's what's also being talked about in the live chat. So everyone seems to be, again, they love the match. They love Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose, the future that could be, but they hated the fact of how they started it.
I don't really expect anything like that from a Hell in a Cell match. Not when you've got all that open space on the outside. If this was just a cage containing a ring and you couldn't go outside of the ring, then that'd be one thing. But you've got plenty of open area for somebody to crawl out from under the ring or even burst through the ring. And you can't really make the argument that it didn't keep anybody out. I mean, if they were there the whole time, then the cage wasn't going to keep them out. So that complaint is a little bit ridiculous when you consider that, I think. But yeah, again, I do see the point about Rollins and Ambrose not getting closure, but that's not exactly new. When you look back at TNA with Bobby Roode and James Storm, Storm never got that closure. They had a series of barn burners, which were absolutely great unto themselves, but Storm never got that revenge against Roode. And look where those two are now. Roode is #1 contender for the world title and kind of looks like he's going to take it this time. And Storm is in a storyline that could very well be the main storyline of the company going forward. So you got to consider those two things.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I can totally understand the frustration that that most wrestling fans are voicing in that, the screwy finish. It kind of it feels like they're ending Rollins versus Ambrose on a sour note instead of giving both of those guys justice, giving both of those guys a good out. Me, on the other hand, I was okay with it. I was okay with them not having Ambrose win clean. I was fine with Rollins getting the upper hand again because it means to me that this isn't over. Ambrose still needs to get his hands on Rollins, and hopefully, that leads to something special, say WrestleMania.
Here's the hoping.
Yeah, Royal Rumble. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities still to carry on the story, and I don't see why we needed to end it just to separate these guys and let them do their own thing for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So, All right. Well, anything else on this pay-per-view that you guys want to talk about?
Looking over it, tag team match was something that we didn't really comment on. That was a good match.
Absolutely. Stardust's new suit is also baller as hell.
Yeah.
Is that Field of Stars an homage to Daddy Dusty? Because I want to say he wore trunks with that design, but I couldn't find pictures.
If he did, I don't remember ever seeing him. But my only experience with Dusty, admittedly, was his run in the WWE.
Yeah, I remember I've seen a picture of him with Stardust on his trunks, but I can't remember if he had like stars on him.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything from Dusty as far as that goes. He had like solid trunks for most of his WCW run, and then once he was in WWE or WWF at the time, it was like the polka dot thing. So I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, at some point, Dusty probably got a little bit of Stardust on his trunks, but he got enough of it in that.
Yeah.
He was born.
All right. So overall, Cena versus Orton. Are you surprised that Cena got the nod? Obviously, Joe, you and I, we were hoping that Randy Orton was going to get that title shot. I mean, he was the worst or the best of those two. But still, are you guys surprised that once again we're going to get John Cena versus Brock Lesnar?
I'm not surprised. I'm bummed out. Why does it always have to be John Cena? That's my complaint. Cena had a shot. Cena had a couple shots. And it's time for someone else to get that shot. Even if it is Randy Orton.
There it is. Yeah, I'm not surprised by this. And I'm also disappointed, but I would have been disappointed either way. I'm disappointed that this match happened at all. But unlike you, Joe, I think Cena is the lesser of two evils here. Yeah, I want to see somebody else get that shot at Brock, but you can't do nearly as much with an Orton-Lesnar feud as you can with a Cena-Lesnar feud.
Come on, we've got like 6 months before we get a match anyway. So why not?
Be that as it may, you can't have Heyman trying to corrupt Orton because Orton's already an asshole. Cena is still the Boy Scout superhero that the kids love, and there's always the hint that Cena might snap, that Cena might kill Heyman in the middle of the ring because he pushed him just that little bit too far.
We've already seen Cena doing that crap.
But the WWE keeps on doing it and doing it and doing it, and
because they have nothing else to go to.
Well, yeah, I mean, as tired as that is, though, that's still more than you could do with Orton. I mean, what are you gonna have Orton do? Hit him with an RKO out of nowhere, and
just have him stalk Heyman, have him keep stalking Heyman, and just have Heyman keep escaping. Last second. Managed to get away, and then eventually when Orton's just about to get him, then we get a Brock Lesnar appearance, and then they brawl, and then maybe Orton gets a hold of Heyman again, actually gets his hands on him.
Yeah, Nick.
I mean, you can do the chase. The Orton he's the apex predator. He's going to chase. He's gonna bide his time and eventually get to his target, but you've got a lot of time in which you can do something. You don't always need the pretty boy Superman just about to snap because someone's touching him with the kryptonite a little bit.
Yeah, and overall, I mean, generally speaking, no matter who won this match, I don't think we would be super excited about, their match against Brock Lesnar. But at the same time, we know what Cena can do in the ring with Brock Lesnar. The second match was a little bit different for them. No 16 suplexes, but still, we have such a limited time apparently with Brock Lesnar. It'd be nice to see other people go against him. So for me, I think it is a shame that they didn't let Orton win, because now we're going to get, the same thing that we've got in the last two matches between these two, and that's all that Brock Lesnar is doing, and I think that's a wasted opportunity.
I think Orton actually has a reason to be pissed and to do the things he does. Like, it seems like it'd be more applicable now than just random Randy. So I would rather see Orton, instead of seeing him in that spot.
I think the WWE really wants a resolution to Orton versus Reigns.
But if they're going to be turning, if the theory is, the rumor was that they're going to turn Orton face. They're aiming for that.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor, but...
And what do? Bring back? You're not going to bring back Reigns as a heel. Every time you watch one of those damn videos, the crowd pops huge. It's like when Triple H came back from his ACL. There was no way in hell he was going to be a heel. No way. I mean, he came back in his Canadian tuxedo, but
I don't know. I'm disappointed. But overall, that was actually a pretty good match. And again, every match on this card was pretty good. Mark Henry over Bo Dallas was kind of a shame that it was such a quick match, but we'll get into that a little bit. So overall, Hell in a Cell. Any final thoughts? Are you surprised that no titles changed hands?
Not really. It's interesting to note that, but I'm not really surprised. I think the one of the best moments from this pay-per-view was the post-match segment with Sheamus and Mizdow. That was pretty great.
Yes. Yeah, again, Damien Mizdow stole the show. So much better than The Miz. Pretty much so much better than a lot of things that WWE is doing lately.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
All right, cool. Well, that was Hell in a Cell. Again, Survivor Series is our next pay-per-view, where it takes place on Sunday, November 23rd. Our full preview is going to be on FTW241, which will be recorded live on Tuesday, November 18th, so mark your calendar. Before we talk more about Survivor Series, there are a few things that happened on Raw that we should go over. The first thing, Mark Henry turned on the Big Show, so we've got that super angry, heel, unstoppable Mark Henry again. Any chance, after he's done with whatever they're doing with Big Show, that he'll get another opportunity at being one of the top guys in the company?
One can hope, because between him and Big Show, Mark deserves it more. Show's had it so many times, and it just never worked out. Henry is he's raring to go. He's always been raring to go, especially the last few years. He's been doing some of his best work. I want to see more of it, because that's what he do.
Yeah, I like the way they set this up. Because I like that Henry sold it as I was getting him before he could get me, and he sold the idea that Show was gonna turn on him. He's always been jealous of Mark Henry, and personally, I think for good reason. I don't know if this will get him another shot at a top spot, though. There's a rumor going around that this is both men's last angle. The rumor is one's going to quit, one's going to retire, and I don't know which would quit and which would retire.
Yeah, we've had the Mark Henry rumor for retirement for a long time.
Help me out. Where was that rumor? Because I didn't see it anywhere except for posted in the Facebook group, but no link was attached to it.
Yeah, I saw it in the Facebook group, but
yeah.
I don't know where that came from.
WrestleZone.com.
Yeah.
Source Lords of
Let's look for a source here.
Yeah, I haven't heard that rumor, but again, I think we've been looking at Mark Henry to retire for 2 years. But they keep surprising us by giving us something really cool with Henry, only to either have him injured or they just drop it for some reason. So, I don't know. To me, this excites me because this is the side of Mark Henry that we like. He's that again, that super angry, unstoppable heel. He went after Big Show. Big Show is the biggest guy on the roster, so it was nice to see him go that route. Hopefully, it does mean that they will put him back into the WWE title race, or at least as one of the top heels in the company. Because right now there really isn't a top heel. I mean, you could kind of look at Rollins maybe, but outside of that, because Lesnar's not on TV anymore, and even if Lesnar's on TV, he's still getting pretty good reactions, not heel reactions,
No, you're right. Yeah, they don't have a major heel, and we know Mark Henry can do it, so I'd like to see that.
Yep, same here.
All right, so we had a return this week. Ryback is back, and in the process delivered the second squash in so many nights to Bo Dallas. So I got two questions for you guys. The first one, can we expect more wins and a positive singles career for Ryback? Finally.
I would hope so, because I think both his last performance before he went on IR and this last performance when he came back, he got huge pops. One of those was in Las Vegas, his hometown, which is to be expected, but this one was kind of unexpected, I think. And it's obvious he's coming back as a face, so I think that'll do good things for his career in the short term. The crowd has always been on board with the feed me more chance, so I think we can expect good things here.
I'm hoping we're getting good things. I mean, initially when we saw the rise of Ryback, everyone was like, "Oh, it's too early, and maybe it was, but they gave it a shot to test the water to see if they could do something like that. And once we washed out all the Goldberg crap, then it got, then there was, they did the testing of him, essentially he earned his stripes. I think it's a possible run here. I think we could see something good. I'd even like to see Ryback versus Lesnar.
Yeah, that would be an interesting match. I think right now I prefer a one-off, but rather than a feud. But yeah, that would be a really interesting encounter.
I mean, we've kind of already seen it in Goldberg versus Lesnar. Was it WrestleMania 25?
Don't
24?
speak of that match.
Did one where everyone just kept saying na 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 hey 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 goodbye the entire match because both guys were leaving.
Yeah, I think for me, sorry, Drew, I'm just gonna move on. For me, I like Ryback, and I know there are some people who dislike Ryback uselessly, but I don't get it. I mean, the thing is that yeah, WWE did kind of force him on us, but they did it in such of an awkward way. They put him in that big feud, and they give him the big pay-per-view match, and then they have him lose. And then next month, he's in the big feud, and he's in the big pay-per-view match, and then he loses. And they did that over and over again. They basically ruined anything positive for Ryback because of that booking style. However, honestly, Ryback never lost his popularity with the live crowd.
No, there's a lot of guys who are like that, where the crowd loves them, but they just don't do shit with them. I mean, everybody loved JTG. Don't get me. I mean, yeah, he was a freaking jobber extraordinaire when it came down to it. But how many people loved when JTG came out? Because they're like, oh, he's still employed. Like, it was a thing. And people got behind it. That's how Zack Ryder got popular.
I would kind of argue that Ryback did lose a lot of his popularity when he was doing the bully angle. Like that little stint between when he was just the unstoppable feed me more machine and when he teamed up with Curtis Axel.
Yeah, there was the weird awkward phase there. And the thing was that it wasn't totally bad though. It's just that again WWE did it so poorly, and then
Yeah.
they didn't give it enough time to really develop. So I don't know. For me, I want to see Ryback do well. I want to see Ryback hold a title, U.S. title, Intercontinental Championship. I want to see I want to see him like actually succeed at something because he can. He's got the look. He's actually pretty good in the ring too. And overall, yeah, he's got the popularity. So I think WWE just needs to actually book him to succeed at some point. And hopefully this is the start of it. Hopefully this is the start of it. So.
You know, I'm kind of wishing that Cesaro had taken the title from Dolph now so that Ryback could challenge for it.
That would anger a lot of people.
It would, but that would be such a great feud.
Yeah, like I don't know what would be worse as far as people's attitudes. Having Cesaro lose the way he did against Dolph Ziggler and then basically get beat up by Dean Ambrose this week on Raw versus him finally getting the title and getting that push that we expected him to get, only to then feud and lose to Ryback.
Well, I didn't say that Cesaro would necessarily lose. I'm just saying that'd be a good feud.
What about Ryback versus Rusev? Do you think Ryback can be the guy that topple Rusev?
Oh, he very well could be. He's the big guy from Sin City. Las Vegas is kind of an American symbol. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
It's a possibility.
I'd love it. I would love that. So, all right, let's move on from Ryback and let's talk about Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas, like I said, this week on at Hell in a Cell, he lost in a squash match to Mark Henry, and then on Raw, lost in a squash match to Ryback. Do you guys think that WWE has given up on Bo Dallas too soon?
No, I think they waited too long.
See, I think they could have kept going with it. I think it could be too soon, but I get it. They don't think it's working, and they're gonna try and do something. I mean, shit, you could repackage him as Bray's little brother, because, well, that's what he is. Sorry to break that kayfabe wall, motherfuckers, but I don't. I have this love-hate relationship with Bo Dallas. I mean, he is worth 5 Stone Colds, but he just, there's something about him that just isn't working. And maybe it worked in NXT, it just doesn't work on Raw. You know, like, Bo Dallas could be the big guy there.
There was a lot of time in NXT where people absolutely hated the guy. He didn't start getting over to any degree until he started leaning into that and turned heel. And then just became the embodiment of a shit-eating grin. I don't know if you can do that on Raw now. Because that turn happened after a long, long time of people just hating Bo Dallas' guts, and it seemed like the WWE didn't know why.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't really see what they could do with him.
They could have him on TV every week. They could have him winning matches or doing segments or something to stay relevant. That's the problem with me with Bo Dallas is that, you know, that he had that quick stint with R-Truth. And then he had a quick stint with Swagger, but there was never like that blow-off match. There was never like a build into a feud. He hasn't really had that feud yet. How can this guy get over if you're only going to have him, you know, wrestle once or twice a month and he's barely on TV and he's not talking and he's not really giving the opportunity to really show what this gimmick is about. I mean, the reason why people, you know, went either way with him in NXT was because he was on TV every single week. he was given that opportunity to get under the fan skin, and he's not given that here, and that's a shame.
Well, Bo's interactions with Swagger went for like a couple months, didn't it? In one form or another.
Yeah, I mean they went for a good long time, so it was at least a month, if not two.
They never had a pay-per-view match.
I don't think anybody would have wanted to watch that because what Bo Dallas was doing, nobody was getting into.
Diva Jill and I, we both enjoyed.
Well,
that.
then you guys should have gone to a live show and supported him because you would have been the
They
only.
were
two
not
people
in
that
my
would.
area, Nick. Are you gonna fly me out?
To go support Bo Dallas? Hell no.
Yes. Then what? Get off my show. I'm sorry, I pulled a Harrison.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think they gave up too soon. I hope that I mean, at this point, they're ruining it for me. If they just kept him off TV and brought him back in a few weeks or a few months, I think that would be better. But to have him lose the way he is, that's the opposite of what makes this gimmick good. I don't know. So
I think that if they tried to do some interesting stuff, like, I don't know, maybe one day he comes out and he goes nose to nose with Bo Jackson on knowledge of something, that could have been interesting because, you know, we know Bo Jackson. Bo knew football. Bo knew baseball. What if Bo Dallas knew more?
I bet he does, actually. All right. Well, enough about it, I guess. So that was WWE. The next, and we need to push this more, the next NXT event, we're actually going to be talking about NXT very soon. The next NXT Live event is December 11th. WWE TLC is on December 14th, so we're going to be previewing both of them on our December 9th edition of the podcast. Listen live. It'll be a lot of fun. All WWE and NXT. Lots of cool stuff. So
we should make a drinking game out of it.
We should. Before that, though, we've got Survivor Series. Again, it takes place on Sunday, November 23rd. We'll be previewing it on FTW241. And right now, we actually already have a match. And that match is Team Cena versus Team Authority in a traditional Survivor Series match, which means no Brock Lesnar match at Survivor Series. So 2 straight pay-per-views in a row without your WWE champion. Kind of interesting. Interesting to see how this goes. But let's look at potential team members. Obviously on Team Authority, you've got Rollins, you've got Kane. Maybe throw Cesaro in there. Maybe you've got Orton as well. Team Cena, we've got Dolph. Probably the Usos. Maybe throw Dean Ambrose in there as well. But Diva Joe in the live chat, actually before the show started, threw out this note. Would anyone be surprised if Orton actually joined Team Cena?
Maybe. I just find it funny that everybody who's predicting is predicting a 4-man team, and usually aren't they 5? Or am I completely off?
The roster we've got for Team Authority is short a man.
Yeah. I mean, there.
Right.
My list here is
have, on it, but
sure, yeah. My list here is just potential names that I came up with. So
right, but what I'm saying is people were predicting on various places and like the Facebook group and all that, like who the teams are going to be, and they keep going with 4.
Yeah, I think it is 5. It is 5 on 5.
That's what I thought, but then I remember I was watching last week one of, I think it was Survivor Series like 96, and I think they had a 4-on-4. So I'm all over the place. I don't. Help me out, guys. Yeah, Lou says traditional team is 5-on-5. That's what I was looking for.
So Orton on Team Cena. Do you see that? Do you see that as a possibility?
But 4 or 5, I mean, it's no. I think Orton on Team Cena could be a possibility. If he does that, I could see a surprise entrant onto Team Authority being Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Or Shane O'Mac.
Well, what about What about Joey Mercury or the other guy? I forget his
Jamie
name.
Noble.
Jamie Noble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie
What about
Noble wouldn't because of his back, I believe, because that's what sidelined him from being in the ring in the first place. His back or his neck. Jamie Noble will not be in the ring.
Okay.
Now, Mercury I could see. But then it's awkward to have one or the other.
Yeah, they could swap Noble out with another agent.
Slaughter.
Like Road Dogg. I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I'm not necessarily interested in this match.
Or it's the annual Triple H needs to get his ass in the ring because why?
Yeah, there's that possibility as well.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't so much see Ambrose being in this match though, because I have to imagine he's going to be involved in something with Wyatt.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
And as long as we're bringing up the possibility of Orton joining Team Cena, or either team really, because he does seem to be on the outs with the Authority right now. I think he'll only join a team if Reigns can't come back in time. If Reigns is back, I think they're gonna have a match.
Why not just put Reigns in this match?
I mean, Ambrose could go off and have his own team, and it could be a second Survivor Series match. We can't. We don't have to preclude that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have the Wyatt family. I mean, right now we're only seeing Bray, so maybe they have made that split, but there's still the possibility that those three can be together, or whoever Bray Wyatt brings next.
You could team up the Wyatts and the Ascension against Ambrose with, I don't know, Foley and...
Not Foley.
Come on. It'd be great.
Foley's made it clear he cannot wrestle. Doctor's orders.
Okay, so Ambrose, Foley, Taz, Hogan, and...
Draws.
There you go.
Oh, dear. Okay.
It's the red arrow.
All right. Let's move on. Also, potential matches added to Survivor Series. We've got Big Show versus Mark Henry. There's also the Bray Wyatt versus Dean Ambrose. That could be a match at the pay-per-view. So we'll know more as we get closer. Again, we're going to be previewing it in full on FTW241, which will be on Tuesday, November 18th. Mark your calendar.
said Russ.
I don't know. You were throwing out all the other guys that can't wrestle because they got jacked up in the rings.
I didn't throw out Owen Hart though. That would have been the low blow I usually go with. So that's like a half point there because I didn't throw him out. But
Draws is still around, isn't he?
Well, yeah, but he's a paraplegic or quadriplegic.
He's still alive, so you can't compare that to Owen Hart.
All right, so we have Draws versus what's his name? The scientist.
Nowinski?
Oh, Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking. There you go.
Oh.
Okay, now I'm going.
Okay.
For sure.
Some degrees of which circle of hell we're going to.
And on that note, let's move on to TNA. All right, last week on TNA, we started another tournament. I know some are happy with that, some are not, but so far it's been pretty good. We started a new tournament to decide the number one contenders for the Tag Team Championship. So we got the Hardys over Jesse and DJ Zema, Loki and Samoa Joe over Samuel Shaw and Gunner, EC3 and Tyrus over Rockstar Spud and EY, and Kenny King and MVP over Anderson and Chris Melendez. So a few things to talk about. First, let's talk about Tyrus. Ethan Carter introduced his new bodyguard, Tyrus. That's Brodus Clay. Are you excited about Tyrus's future in TNA?
I kind of am. He seems to be making this work for him. It's a much more serious gimmick, much closer to his original gimmick in the WWE, and he seems to be working well with EC3. So I don't see anything but a win here.
Yeah, I actually do like Tyrus, Brodus, whatever you want to call him. It seems like he might get that character appeal that he needed when they decided to make him the Funkasaurus. We were looking for that badass Brodus Clay in the WWE. We never got it. Not once. So now, I mean, he was Snoop Dogg's bodyguard for a while. Everybody knows that, so they can take that bit of background, mix it in with him being a badass, and I think he's good to go. He's like Diesel 2.0.
Actually, how Brodus Clay ended his career in WWE, as far as going up against Adrian Neville in NXT, this is just an extension of that. So everything that he was building that was really cool in NXT, he's now doing in TNA, which I think is fantastic. Really, they only changed his name, but the gimmick, the attitude, the fierceness of him is the same. So yeah, it's really cool. Like Lou points out, TNA, where WWE talent goes to get better. I like that. Yeah. I think that's exactly what we're getting. We're gonna finally get the guy we thought we were going to get. So, but yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm excited to see what TNA lets him do. They're obviously gonna let him do. Let him get himself over. That's what has been successful for EC3. I don't see why it can't be successful for Brodus Clay, or in this case Tyrus. Also from the tag team tournament, we saw the split of Gunner and Sam Shaw. So Brittany, basically there was more interaction with Brittany and Samuel Shaw this week, and we saw Brittany caused Gunner to lose the tag match. After the match, Shaw attacked Gunner. Multiple chair shots, multiple very, very stiff chair shots. Do you like to split these guys? I'm sorry. Do you like that they split up these guys in this way? And do you like Brittany as being the guy? Or I'm sorry, the catalyst for this feud?
Yeah, I think this is the right way to go. Gunner and Shaw clearly weren't working for whatever reason. It seems like Gunner was kind of the main reason for that. I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't seem comfortable with Shaw at all. And I do kind of like the idea that it was a woman that got between Shaw and Gunner. Well, I just like the fact that Brittany is getting involved somehow, and she actually faced down Gunner for a little bit there. And the perception that she was in danger was what caused Shaw to snap. And by God, did he snap. Like you said, those were very stiff. I think one actually bounced off the back of Gunner's head. And Shaw went nuts with that attack.
Yeah, overall, you're right, Nick. It seemed like Sam Shaw was just on the outside. He didn't really want to do what she wanted him to do. He didn't want to go after Gunner, but as soon as Gunner really kind of pushed her into a corner and made it seem like he was threatening her, that's when Sam Shaw went off. And yeah, it's definitely very interesting. I'm curious of where this is going, but it does have my interest. It definitely does have my interest. So
yeah, it's just good classic storytelling.
So again, we got the Hardys moving on. We got Low-Ki and Samoa Joe moving on. EC3 and Tyrus, and Kenny King and MVP. And Kenny King and MVP went over Anderson and Chris Melendez. This one kind of has me concerned though. This last match, specifically Chris Melendez. I know there was a lot of hype with him. He was obviously given like the hero's welcome into TNA. My issue is I just cannot I cannot picture a scenario where this guy can be looked at as a successful wrestler.
Yeah, there's got to be a point where you get away from the wounded war vet angle and let him start being himself. I don't think Melendez will ever succeed so long as he's pigeonholed like that. Just look at what they did with Gunner when he was hyping up his past as a soldier, and they didn't do much else with him. And you got the America fuck yeah response from the United States crowd, but when you get past that, you didn't see anything else. Yeah, he used to be Mr. Intensity, but again, that's a title that doesn't really have much behind it. So
Yeah.
if you can find something for Melendez to be, or let him be himself, let him define his own character rather than be defined by what he used to do, then I think you might have a case for Melendez actually going somewhere. But until that happens, it's sad, but I don't think he will succeed.
Nick, I think you hit the nail on the head. Until he takes the fake leg and hits somebody with it or something, there has to be something that's not just stereotypical America fuck yeah, war vet fuck yeah. He needs to do something to make himself stand out. And, I mean, the guy's got some talent. Watching him work in the ring, it's almost like he doesn't have an issue at all, at least from the matches I've seen. So I think he's extremely talented, but does TNA have the knowledge base and the ability to take him beyond that? That's going to be the problem.
Yeah, between Team 3D and Anderson, I think they've definitely got the tools to help shepherd this guy along to being a better wrestler. It's just, like you mentioned, the stereotype. As long as you keep feeding into that and keep hyping that up as the main attraction of what you're going to get out of Melendez, he's not going to have an opportunity to get over on his own merits. And I think even attacking somebody with his prosthetic leg, I think that even falls into the stereotype, because you would kind of expect that if he's a heel, he's going to use anything he can, and, well, there's his leg, so he's just going to use it. I don't think you have to rule that out. What's that?
There's his leg. It's just over there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you have to rule that out, but when you mention stereotypes, that does kind of fall in there. So, again, I think let him try being himself, not being defined by what he used to do, and I think we'll get somewhere.
I'm in a weird spot here because it's rare I take this side, but I'm going to be the shallow one here, I guess. It's not his character that bothers me. It's the fact that he's a one-leg guy trying to be a powerhouse, trying to be that brawler. To me, it's not realistic if that's the style he's going for. More people need to go after that leg and get him off of his feet. Once you get him off his feet, what does he have? I mean, when we look at previous wrestlers that had this in, Joe, remind me of the guy from Livonia.
Oh, Zach Gowen.
Zach Gowen. The thing that helped Zach Gowen was, even though he was a one-legged wrestler, he could still hit the ropes. He could still do the high-flying moves. And that helped him because even though he had this issue, which, pretty much every match he was ever in, every wrestler always went after the one leg, okay? But with him, he could fly off the ropes and surprise you and hit you with a move. Melendez can't do that because his fighting style right now is that powerhouse.
But see, I think that's the cool thing about Melendez is that he's not stereotyped into that. Got to be a high flyer because I only got one leg. I like the fact that it's also, when Zach Gowen would go in the ring, he didn't go in with any type of prosthesis. He went in one-legged. Melendez has the ability to, it's attached, and then you get into that entire Lex Luger steel plate in the arm thing maybe a little bit, because the leg is of not flesh.
Right.
But at least you have him he can do some of those things that a powerhouse might, because he still has the ability to stand stable.
And he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and Zach Allen is not a big dude, and doesn't have that to go in with.
Well, sure, but still, look at basically how WWE built Zach Gowen, and even look on the Indies, Joe. I mean, we've seen him in Clash, and it seems like every single time he's in a match, people go his opponents tell the realistic, logical opponent mentality of going after his.
Yeah, but look at Melendez. I mean, that leg, the prosthetic leg. It's got, it's bent metal, and there's that end that you don't want to get kicked in the face with. That's sharp and it's gonna hurt.
I agree.
So,
yeah,
I mean, it's a different
has
angle.
done that.
What's that, Nick?
Kenny has died for the leg. He's done the chop block before.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're just ignoring that.
Yeah, it's just to me it's different also because Zach Allen, I believe where they took his leg off is much higher than where Melendez had his leg taken off. So I don't think Gowen can do that.
Sure.
So I mean, it's a completely different situation. And it doesn't look like Judas is still in the live chat because I think Judas knows him a little bit. Anyway, but. Yeah, it's just. I think Melendez has more advantage with it, and I think on the whole can do more. He doesn't have to be pigeonholed exactly that way. Yeah, sure, people are going to go for the leg because, well, hey, he's the one-legged guy. But if he just sidesteps and then kicks the guy in the head with the prosthetic leg. Then you've got something else to work with, because then the guy's stunned going, holy crap, no, I actually got to worry about this motherfucker. And they can actually, he's actually got power too? Oh my god, it's an entirely different story. To me, it's purely a character development thing. At least at this stage.
Okay.
We'll see how how he works in the future, but right now they don't have the storyline to give him.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of time. He just started, but yeah, I do have my reservations. I have my doubts. Yeah, I don't know. So, all right, let's move on from that. Also, this past week we saw Havoc easily defeat Madison Rayne. Nick, just looking at this roster, is there anyone that you can see? I mean, obviously we're gonna have Gale versus Havoc again. But do we see anyone really taking the title off of Havoc in 2014, or is she going to be your champion at the beginning of the new year?
I think she'll be champ into 2015. As far as people being able to take the belt away from her, whenever Gail Kim comes back fully healed, she definitely could. Taryn Terrell, I think she could. We haven't seen her in singles action against Havoc yet. Within the continuity of the company, Angelina Love could. I highly doubt she will go after Havoc, both because she's a heel and they've been playing the Beautiful People as scared shitless of Havoc, so I don't see that happening. But anyone else on the roster, like Madison Rayne, no. Rebel, no. Tessmacher, maybe, depending on how they cast her coming back, but that seems kind of doubtful. So as far as the roster goes, the only two I could legitimately see going toe-to-toe with Havoc and coming out on top would be either Gail Kim or Taryn Terrell.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I'm unsure. Like, I like Havoc holding the title. Gail Kim seems to be the one to be able to topple her, just because that's the kind of role she's played in the past. And she's definitely the best wrestler on the roster right now. Anyone else, I just have a hard time believing it. You've got Taryn Terrell. We still haven't really seen what she can do on a consistent basis. But I think that's definitely another possibility. But for me, I see Havoc holding the title for the rest of the year. I think she'll be your champion at the top of 2015.
Definitely.
And finally, last week, we saw Bobby Roode defeat Jeff Hardy, Eric Young, and Austin Aries to earn another title shot against Bobby Lashley, which is... I'm sorry, that was actually 2 weeks ago. So this week we saw the contract signing. The contract signing basically just put Kurt Angle as your special guest referee. So this week on Impact, we're going to get the continuation of the tag team tournament. So we got the Hardys versus EC3 and Tyrus, and Samoa Joe and Low Key versus Kenny King and MVP. We've also got Madison Rayne teaming up with Taryn Terrell versus the Beautiful People. And in your main event, Lashley versus Bobby Roode for the World Heavyweight Championship. Again, Kurt Angle is your special guest referee. So Nick, just like Havoc, do you see Bobby Lashley retaining the title and being your champion heading into 2015, or is this Bobby Roode's chance to get back into that top spot?
I think we're going to close out the year with a TNA original as World Heavyweight Champion. I think Roode is going to take it from Lashley this time around. I think I've said that the last couple times they faced off, but with Angle as special guest referee, that almost seems like a lock to me, that there won't be any more shenanigans. MVP and Kenny King won't interfere with the match. I think Roode's going to take the belt this time around.
I think that's a pretty accurate prediction. I think you're right. Live chat's talking about the possibility of Angle screwing Roode to go with Lashley into a fight for the title. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Angle's holding off on wrestling. I mean, yeah, he might do a spot or two real quick if he's reffing the match. There might be an Angle slam, there might be a spear or something, but I don't know. I think Roode's going to go out with it.
Yeah,
I think that'll close out our year.
Yeah, and like Blue's saying, no, not another TNA authority turning on someone for their own gain to get that title. Yeah, that's not a storyline that we need to see again. But yeah, as far as Angle goes, he's probably done in the ring this year. Next year, for sure, there's an opportunity for him. But yeah, I don't know. So for me, I want to see Bobby Roode as your champion. I think he's the most over guy on that roster. And if you're going to close out the year, giving the fans what they want Bobby Roode as your champion. So totally with that idea. All right. Now it's time for some win fail. Joe, your win of the week.
My one of the week. It's gonna have to be the pay-per-view. Hell in a Cell was probably one of the better pay-per-views I've seen this year, and the fact that I had to watch it without sound, which I didn't have to, but I did, I actually got to absorb more of it without as much distraction. Without anybody coloring the pay-per-view for me. I just took it in as it was. And that was a damn good pay-per-view. I enjoyed that, so that's my win of the week.
Nick, your win?
Mine also comes from Hell in a Cell. After a little more thought, I think I have to lean towards the 2 out of 3 Falls match as match of the night. And it's like Joe said earlier, they did a lot more with less. Cesaro is the only guy I can think of in wrestling right now that can end a fall with a sleeper hold and not rob that match of any momentum. He did that in the match with Sami Zayn, also 2 out of 3 falls, not this one with Ziggler, just to clarify. But he did a lot of the same stuff, a lot of mat-based wrestling, but nobody seemed to be tuning out because of that. He kept it. Both those guys actually kept it interesting, kept everybody involved, kept everybody's eyes on the screen, and for that, I have to give it to those two guys. Major props.
My win of the week is going to go to the return of Bray Wyatt. I thought, again, I know I'm in the minority here, but I really thought how he returned was pretty cool. I think we saw glimpses of Sister Abigail, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So overall, I think my one of the week is going to go to Bray Wyatt's return. From the live chat, we've got Orton finally finding some real intensity. Ryback's return. The big Hell in a Cell double table spot between Ambrose and Rollins. And another win for Bray Wyatt being back on TV and in a good storyline. But what about fails? What's your fail of the week, Joe?
This one's a personal one. It does not come from the world of wrestling. It comes from my kitchen. If you are ever making chili and slice up a bunch of jalapenos and then have an itch on your nose, make sure you wash your hands thoroughly before touching your nose. Because my nose still occasionally burns, and this was 4 days ago. Jalapeno up the nose is not a good idea.
No. Not at
But
all.
you don't have to worry about wiping your eyes because your eyes are already wet, so that totally makes it okay.
Well, it's like, it just kept feeling there's something there, and there wasn't. Just burning.
Nick, your fail?
My fail is the Susan G. Komen ad during Hell in a Cell. I get that you have ads and commercials on the show. That's not what I have an issue with. And I get that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and that is a great cause. Personally, I don't see why it just isn't Cancer Awareness Month, because cancer sucks all around. But it does kind of clash with the event. I had a little talk with Scott Viper on Twitter about this, and this is the WWE's most dangerous pay-per-view, where wrestlers' mortality is definitely very much in the balance, especially when you talk about getting up on top of the cage. And then you're going to have an uplifting message about breast cancer awareness. Kind of a little bit of a contradiction.
Be a star, Nick. Come on.
I'm not bullying anybody, but supplementary fail is Hogan's promo about Susan G. Komen or Coleman. Apparently, Coleman Mania is running wild, and you can take advantage of that at your local Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
Supplemental fail here for me is the Susan Komen Foundation. You know when they do the Walk for Breast Cancer? This is a thing that's really pissed me off because my mother had breast cancer, my wife's mother had breast cancer, my wife's mother had a lot of cancer actually, so it's something that is, that we've had major concerns and worries over. If you say you're going to do the 3-mile walk or whatever the hell it is, 3-day walk, you have to raise a certain amount of money. It's like $1,500. If you don't raise that amount of money, you need to make up the difference. So if you only make $150, you have to pay that difference, and it's like $1,500 or $2,500.
Oh,
that they want you to make. So you have to make up the difference if you're going to walk. That's I understand they've got to recoup the cost for paying water, for the water they give people, and to have people be there. I understand there's a certain cost to running any event. Even if it's a fundraiser kind of thing, there's a cost. But for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's well established that that particular foundation is not a charity, and it's run by crooks.
Yeah, in the live chat, Blue points out WWE is the only place that he has seen people talk positively about the Komen Foundation. Everything else that he's seen has been, it's just been a lot of criticism. But I'm in the same boat. I've got family that has breast cancer or had gone through it. So obviously, everyone's aware of breast cancer. It gets shoved down our face, our throats, and everything else, all other cancers are forgotten for some reason. I don't know why this one is so popular.
Because titties are cool.
And at the end of the day, they're getting so much money. Haven't done a whole lot with it. But anyways, fails from the live chat. We've got too much Cena. He was in too many promos and commercials and matches. Agreed. We've also got the Hogan segment on Raw. And then my fail of the week, WWE giving up on Bo Dallas too soon. I still think that is a shame, and I think it's way too soon. You got to give, if you're gonna give any wrestler an opportunity, give him a solid opportunity, consistent TV time. If you can't put him in the ring, give him some segments. And I think they really failed on allowing Bo Dallas the opportunity. So that's my fail. Final thoughts. Any final thoughts, guys?
No, I think my Susan G. Coleman rant was enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's the show. You can go check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. And join us live each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on FTWlive.com. For myself, Joe, Nick, everyone in the live chat, we will see you next Tuesday. See you later, guys.
Peace out.
Peace in the Middle East.